Welcome to level 15 of Level Up. In this level, you will be multiplying two two-digit numbers, and you'll also be practicing multiplying a four-digit number by a one-digit number. So before we can get to any kind of fun game or activity, first we just need to practice this skill. So let's start with an easy one. 55 times 3. Now if you're multiplying a two-digit number by a three-digit number, I want you to think about it as making a V. So let's start. So first we have to multiply 3 by 5. That's the first part of our V. 5 times 3 is, if you said 15, that's correct. So you're going to put a 5, carry your 1. Now you're going to do the second part of your V, which will be 3 times 5. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 1 makes that 16. Okay, now we're going to do a second one, and after I write this down, I want you to also write it down and see if you can solve this one by yourself. Alright, now I want you to press pause at this time and try to work through it by yourself, and then once you feel like you have the answer, I want you to press play again. Alright, so if you're watching this, now that that means you've solved it, and that means you are moving forward to check your work. So the first part of our V is 8 times 7, which is 56. So we lay our 6 down, and we're going to carry our 5 up here. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 5 is 13. So if you got 136, that means you got the correct answer. So good job. That means that you are now able to multiply a two-digit number by a one-digit number. So let's try a little bit trickier one here. Now we're going to try a four-digit number by a one-digit number. Alright, now this is basically going to be the same thing. You're just going to repeat the steps. So 5 times 9, you're always going to start by multiplying your bottom number by the number all the way in the ones place, and you're just going to work your way across the top, okay? So 5 times 9, that's 45. 5, and we're going to carry our 4. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 4 equals 9. Now we're just going to keep on going across all the way until we get to our last number. 5 times 3 is 15. We're going to lay down that 5 and carry our 1. And last but not least, 5 times 2 equals 10 plus 1. So that would be 11,595. Alright, now if you ever need to pause this video and rewind it to try to remember a step or review a part that you were confused about, you should always do that. That's just a reminder that I want you to rewind if you need to. So now I'm going to write another one with 4 digits by 1 digit, and I want you to see if you can do it. So after I write this down, I want you to try it. So here's this problem, so I want you to give it a try, and then once you think you have it, you can go ahead and press play again to check your answer. Alright, now let's go ahead and check your work. 2 times 1 is 2. Remember, we start in our ones place and work our way all the way across. 2 times 0 is, of course, 0. 2 times 7 is 14, so we're going to lay down that 4 and carry our 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So if you got 7,402, that means you got that answer correct. So why don't you give yourself a pat on the back if you got that one correct. Alright, so we've done a few problems now. We're going to move into the last part of this review. Now this one's a tricky one. Take a deep breath. Now we're going to do two-digit numbers by a two-digit number. This is when some of us might get a little bit scared. We see this second digit on our bottom number and we get a little bit freaked out. So remember that it's not that difficult of a process as long as you just follow the steps that you learned. So the way I'm going to teach you how to do it is to make a W, okay? So we're going to start here on our bottom number. We're going to multiply. We're just going to do the exact same thing as we did here in this problem. We're going to start in our multiplying by our ones and then move across the top. So we're going to start making that. 3 times 6 is 18. 8, carry the 1. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. Now when you do 2-digit by 2-digit, you always want to, after you carry something, you always want to mark it out. That way you don't accidentally add it again later on in the problem. So we just did 3 times 3. Now here we're going to end up making a W. This shape in the middle is going to end up being a W by the end of our problem. Now always, 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 after you finish doing this first digit, multiplying it by the top, you want to lay down a 0 right here. All right, that's the most important part. You can never get this kind of question right if you don't lay down a 0. All right, so now we have 4 times 6. 4 times 6 is 24, so we have a 2. I'm sorry, we have a 4 there, and we got to carry our 2. Now we have the last part. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 is 14. Now we just need to add it together. So are you seeing that double U that we made in the middle? This helps you make sure that you multiplied all of the numbers that you needed to and that we didn't skip any steps there. So now we just get to do the easy thing, which is adding. So 8 times 0 is 8. 8 plus 0 is 8. 0 plus 4 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. And of course, this would be 0 plus 1 is 1. Okay? Now at this point, if you're a little bit confused about this, after I write the next problem, I want you to rewind this and go through the steps with me again to make sure that you're not skipping anything. So I'm going to write a new problem. Now I want you to solve this by yourself, and if you need help, all you need to do is refer back to this problem. So rewind the video while you're solving this one, and rewatch this to help you solve here. So go ahead and pause it and see if you can solve that on your own. All right, we're going to go ahead and solve this so you can check your answer. 5 times 2 is 10. That's a 0, and we're going to carry our 1. That's the first part of our W. Now we're going to do 5 times 8, which is 40, plus 1 is 41. Remember, we always have to mark out, after we've carried, we always have to mark it out. Now we're going to add in a 0 here, a placeholder. We always, always, always need that 0 placeholder. Now 3 times 2 over here is 6. And last but not least, 3 times 8 to complete our W is 24. Now we just need to add it all together. So we have a 0 here. 1 plus 6 is 7. 4 plus 4 is 8. And this would be 0 plus 2 is 2. So if you got 2,870, go ahead and give yourself a pat on the back because you got that one correct. All right, so now if we're having trouble with any of these during the activity that we're about to move on, a way that you can check your work or make sure that you're not skipping any steps is to simply go back and rewatch parts of the video. You can rewind, and if you need any help, of course, you can always raise your hand for some extra help, okay? So now we're gonna move on to the fun activity. So there are gonna be some tables with dominoes laid out, and if there aren't, just raise your hand and we can get you some dominoes. So we're gonna have some dominoes. You're gonna have your dominoes face down. We're not gonna have them up like this because then we can see them. So we're gonna have our dominoes face down, okay? Now, what you're gonna do is, without looking at them, you're just gonna draw a domino. So I'm gonna get, okay. So I have a 5, there's 5 dots here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5 dots, and on this side I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm gonna write the number 56. So that's my top number. Now I'm gonna pick a random domino. Okay, so this can either be, I can flip this whichever way I want. I'm gonna make this a 60. So because there's 6 dots on this side and then 0 dots on this side. So 60. Now I am going to just take these two numbers and multiply them. So that's where you're gonna get your numbers that you're gonna multiply. Now if I were to do this, and if I were to get the answer correct, then I can move on to the next one. Okay, so let's say that I solved this one completely. Then I can just put those dominoes back in the pile, mix the pile back up. Now we'll do another one. So I have, okay, so this would be 62. And what's the other lucky domino? 54. 62 and 54. We're going to multiply those two. All right, so you're going to keep on doing this. So as you can see, I'm going to obviously solve this problem. You keep on doing this, and after you do 5 of them, you can raise your hand, and I will come over and check your answers. And if you got all 5 of them correct, then that means that you beat this level. So if you are watching this and you have already beat this level, congratulations, you get to move on. So you're going to get to spin the wheel to get a reward. Otherwise, then you'll just come back and you'll correct it, and we'll fix it and talk about it and become even better at this skill. So if you have any questions, raise your hand, and good luck on level 15.